Jesus told the story of a young man. His father was very rich and loved him very much. His father had a lot of land and wealth. One day, the young son of the father asked for a share of his father's property that he would inherit, and his father agreed to give it to him. A few days later, the young man packed his things and gathered his money from his father and set out into the world. The son did many foolish things with his money. He bought expensive things, and he wasted it on reckless and foolish living. He made friends with people who only liked him because he had money and would buy them things. Eventually, he was so foolish that his money was quickly gone. He went to his friends and they rejected him and didn't like him anymore because they really only liked his money and not him. He had nowhere to go, and a famine started in the land. He hired himself out to care for animals, and he longed to eat the food he gave to the animals because he was so hungry. Soon he came to his senses and thought about his father and his father's house. His father had many servants who were well paid and well fed. He could go home and ask to work as a servant and live better than he was living in the faraway country, poor and destitute. While he was gone, his father looked for him to come back every day, and he was very sad because he loved his son so much, even though he chose to be so foolish. One day, as his father looked for his son, his dream came true, and he saw his son coming home. He rushed out to greet him and embraced him in happiness and love. The son confessed he sinned against his father and said he was not worthy to be called his son, but the father was so delighted with his return. He asked that he be brought new clothes and a feast be prepared to welcome the son home. Now the father had 2 sons, and the older son was returning from the field, and he heard a commotion from inside the house. His father told him his brother was home. The older son was not pleased. He told his father he had been working for him for the whole time, and never took money and wasted it and acted like a complete fool. His father never gave him a banquet after all his loyal years of work, and now his foolish brother was getting rewarded for reckless behavior. The father replied that everything he had belonged to his older son, but his younger son had been dead, and now he had returned and repented of his sinful and foolish ways, so it was good to rejoice for his return. We are all like the prodigal son. We have a loving Heavenly Father filled with grace. When we ask for things, we often get more than we need, and yet we behave like the foolish young son and waste the grace God has given us. We go as far away from Him as we think we can and do things that please ourselves, even when those things are not good and can hurt us. But still, when we confess of our sins and turn away from reckless behavior, God welcomes us into His family with open arms. He wants us to be His sons and daughters and looks for us to return to Him every day. When we finally give up living for ourselves and live for Him, He welcomes us with love, just like the young son's father welcomed him home after he had wasted the gifts his father gave him. When someone returns to God, we should rejoice and not be jealous like the older son. We should be happy that our new brother or sister is home and a child of God, ready to cast aside sin to live in the wonderful grace of God.